So the other day, I saw the funniest thing on TikTok. I mean, my kids think it's hilarious watching their mum using TikTok just on its own, but I have been spending quite a bit more time on there lately because we are starting to use it to promote my new skincare brand, Indigaro Beauty. So anyway, I was on there the other day, and I guess I get shown a whole lot of content about skincare and beauty brands, but I also get shown a whole lot of content about digital marketing and e-commerce. A bit of a no-brainer, really. And this video of a young woman who actually I'm not sure whether she's promoting herself as a digital marketer or if she's an e-commerce business owner. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, she looked like she was probably in her early 20s, and she was super excited to share this amazing hot new tip for getting more sales in your online store. And I'm always up for a hot new tip, but guess what it was? It was email marketing. And she was so excited about, sending a few emails and making a whole lot more money in her store. I almost scalded my nostrils by snorting my tea when I watched this video. I mean, I do kind of hope that her next hot tip might be a return to snail mail, because I used to have so much fun producing direct mail pieces. Those of you of similar generation to me, probably the same, it was just, I loved to open the boxes when they came in from the printer and take a really good sniff of the ink and the varnish of those newly minted pieces of printed mail. Anyway, so get this. I had to go down a rabbit hole, and email marketing. I mean, you guys know I love email marketing. I love Klaviyo, all of that good stuff. I've been into it for a very long time now, but I had to go down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I didn't actually know that email marketing was first used in 1978. So that blew me away. So this was following the inception of the internet. The first I think the first ever email that was ever sent was written in 1971. But in 1978, some guy called Gary Thurk, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He was a marketing executive at a company called Digital Equipment Corporation, and he was the first one to take email to the next level by sending a blast of 400 emails targeting some specific, presumably computing devices. There wouldn't have been too many people using computers in 1978. Anyway, and the results of the email, so this was specifically a marketing email, and so sent out to 400 contacts and generated some amazingly impressive results, even by today's standards, because it produced a cool $13 million in sales. I think, any marketing person, business owner, manager would be incredibly proud of that even today. Imagine what $13 million would be, of 1978 vintage would be worth in 2024. Anywho, maybe email marketing is like vintage fashion. It's so old that it's now new and cool again. In all seriousness, though, I do get why email marketing may have fallen a little bit out of favor there for a while. I know, when social media became a really hot new thing, it offered the kind of immediacy in terms of connecting and communicating with your audience that business owners could previously only dream of. I mean, talk about being able to satisfy people's desire for instant gratification, right? You could, for a long time there, just post some content that would instantly get noticed by your audience, and then you would see sales straight away. Now, of course, with social media, generally a pay-to-play kind of game, and with organic reach nowhere near what it was, or engagement nowhere near where it was, and the far too common situation where people get their social media pages shut down for no good reason. And of course, the frustrating situation where all these platforms constantly change their algorithms and just making it really difficult to predict or rely on the reach and engagement and the traffic and sales that these platforms historically would drive for online businesses. So I think it's no wonder that all business owners are looking for different and better ways to connect with their audience and to drive sales revenue. And, maybe to feel like we are regaining a little bit of control over our business destiny. So enter stage left, email marketing, or re-enter stage left. So here's what we're going to talk about on the show today. We are going to focus on how to grow a lucrative email list. Now, growing an email list and using it in your marketing is not just important because of the impact of, changing platform algorithms or the increases in the cost of advertising on them. I mean, it's very important for those two reasons. But I've always been an advocate for building your email list, and I'm pretty sure I've banged on about this for several years now. But the biggest reason that everyone needs to be focusing on it right now, middle of 2024, is we need to be in the driver's seat when it comes to owning our audience. So why is owning your audience so important? Well, for starters, like I inferred before, we just can't rely on other platforms to have our backs when it comes to that audience because other platforms do change things on a dime. And then quite often, as the businesses who are trying to use said platforms to connect with our audience, we end up being left scrambling and trying to mitigate the impact of those changes. Yes, of course, we need to use those platforms to to drive traffic, to build an audience and all of that kind of stuff. But we can't just rely on that always being there and available. So as much as possible, we need to get them off those platforms and into our own database. But secondly, and this is probably the coolest bit for any kind of entrepreneur, email marketing still has the highest conversion rate and return on investment than any other channel. I mean, maybe aside from word of mouth, although that's pretty impossible to control or scale in any meaningful way. And lastly, with the cost of paid advertising, paid traffic, so much more expensive these days compared to a few years ago, we just simply cannot afford to not be using an essentially free channel like email. So, for the sake of being profitable and reducing your risk in your business, let's really turn our mind and our focus to growing a lucrative email list to fuel your e-commerce store's growth. And so I'm going to share a few strategies, ideas, concepts, and recommendations with you today. And really, the first thing that we need to touch on here is I think the fact that email marketing actually does still really, really work, as this young woman in the TikTok I saw has recently discovered. Um, so, if you have been feeling like, maybe there's too many emails in your inbox and you feel like are sick of receiving lots of emails and you don't possibly you cannot possibly imagine yourself sending emails to other people in case they don't want to open them. Maybe you've formed the opinion yourself that marketing is old and dead and it doesn't work because people do get slammed with so many emails in their inbox, nobody's going to open them or click on them, so what's the point? If you have still been feeling like that, really just want to reassure you here that email marketing still really, really works. And that return on investment for email marketing, it still sits around 3,800 to 4,000%. So, if you spend a small amount of money, like literally, really, the only money you're spending on email marketing is going to be your time and the subscription for the platform. So let's get those numbers out, like it's pretty amazing. It's pretty high. And I think that, if you adopt the kind of strategy that I'm going to speak about today, the actual long-term value that you can obtain from building your email list the right way and using it really, really strategically will actually give you an even bigger return on investment. Because there's just so many ways that you can build this into your marketing and into your sales generating efforts. It's really quite it's like the gift that keeps on giving. Um, and just even the proportion of your revenue in an e-commerce business that can come from email marketing, email marketing alone can account for somewhere between 20 to 35% of your revenue. And We have clients who regularly achieve that. So if you're not doing any or much email marketing and you're getting, maybe very, very small trickles of revenue coming from email marketing, then please know that there are ways to actually really, really improve it. And the results that you're getting from your email marketing, is, I guess, like anything in digital marketing, it's like just because you might do something once doesn't mean that that's the result you're going to get indefinitely. We always have to be reviewing and improving and optimizing and all of that kind of jazz. And when you think about it, once you have spent a bit of time and money to build out this email list, uh, especially if you do adopt some of the automated strategies that I'm going to share with you today, realistically, it is this gift that keeps on giving. And the more that the list grows, the more that the database produces for you in revenue. It really does gain that kind of compound interest effect. So having a subscription to a decent email marketing platform is about the only cost, aside, of course, from your time or your team's time to prepare the emails. But even that is such a low cost compared to spending money on ads, for example. And yet it can yield such amazing results. And so, as many of you who have been listening to me or reading my content for a while, you would know that I'm a massive fan of email automation or sales automation. And so there's a really big proportion of the revenue from your email database that you can actually automate. And I love setting things up so that it's like this automated sales team in your business that never takes sick leave or holidays and never slacks off when you're not looking and all of that kind of stuff. That automated portion of your revenue becomes the backbone of your business. And it's so, so cool when you get this happening in your business. So before we dive into, the way we should be doing it, let's maybe touch on what so many people do poorly with email marketing. And, I think there's a couple of bugbears that I really want to highlight here that really do inhibit the kind of results that a lot of brands are able to achieve with their email marketing. And I think the first thing that I want to suggest, or not suggest, I see this all the time. The first thing that I want to say is a lot of people, they will set something up and tick it off their list and never look at it again. And I hear a lot of people, they'll come to me saying, "Oh, Kath, can you, I need your help to grow my business. What are we going to do here? I've tried this, I've tried that, XYZ. Here's my goals. How am I going to get there?" And a lot of the time I'll jump into their Klaviyo account and have a look at what's happening in there. And I mean, even Indigaro Beauty, the business that I recently acquired, these automated email sequences, the flows, hadn't been edited or reviewed or changed in years. And, things change. It's like, I don't think anyone would let their website sit there for 4 years and not make a change on it. So we do need to be attentive and reviewing what's going on there, and not just assume that doing something the first time is the best effort we can produce. But the second thing that I want to say is that so many businesses literally just want to immediately bribe you to jump on their email list and buy straight away. And they don't even give you the opportunity to look around in the store. It's like, you get to the website and you are immediately hit up with a pop-up opt-in form that obscures the rest of the website, especially when you're on your mobile. And so you can't look around. And essentially, it's just this big, obvious bribe, massive discount or something like that. And it kind of feels like, hang on a second, I don't even know if I want to buy from you yet. Like, at least give me an opportunity to look around the store first before you hit me up with that. So I mean, that's an easy fix. Like, put a delay on there and maybe just be a little bit nicer in the way that you're offering this ethical bribe. I think there are ways about offering incentives that just aren't so in your face and maybe not as cheapening as well. I think a lot of brands, they can go wrong in constantly discounting right from the get-go. And you guys, if you've listened to this show for a while, I'm not against discounting. Discounting plays a really important part in an e-commerce business from time to time. But try not to do a huge discount straight from the outset, and don't make that the constant go-to strategy, right? Because it does kind of end up cheapening your brand, and it does end up training the audience to constantly expect a discount. And there's ways that you can go about offering incentives that are value and don't always require a discount, so more of a value add. Even like a gift voucher has a different kind of message to it, or a different kind of connotation to it. So again, I'm not against using discounts. Don't just immediately go for a big discount though. Try some other things. And then my second bugbear that I have is brands who invite you to subscribe to a newsletter. Now, I don't know about you, but I think the last time, I can't remember the last time I woke up feeling like I needed to subscribe to another newsletter. I mean, it was probably at least 15 years ago. I mean, as a word or a label, newsletter is just not a term that's hugely enticing. And so just don't use that word. It just doesn't really engage with an audience. It doesn't really invite the kind of excited response or the kind of action that you want when you use a word like that. Now, obviously, you can call it a newsletter list internally in your business. As business owners, of course, we certainly, we need to send these sorts of communications out to our audience, but just don't use that term. Nobody's going to get excited if you invite them to subscribe to a newsletter. Oh, thanks. But then the really, really big bugbear I have, and this is so easy to fall into this trap, is people who are sending discount after discount after discount after discount. And it's like this constant barrage of offers and incentives and invitations to shop at a discount. And I was literally just talking about this with my team yesterday as we were discussing some of our clients and also, my Indigari Beauty email marketing calendars. I mean, as a team, we're constantly looking at what competitors are doing and what other brands are doing in the marketplace, and for all of our clients. And there are a few brands that we keep noticing who are regularly sending out massive discount offers. Like, it's a no biggie to offer 25% off a new range that's about to be released. It's not even for sale yet, and even up to 80% off for end of season sales, which is even worse when I see brands doing this who also sell wholesale to a roster of stockists. I mean, none of those stockers can possibly hope to compete with such big discounts. And it does not cultivate a really great relationship between brand and stockist. And I was reflecting, without naming names, but I interviewed somebody on the show a few years back who, during COVID years had a huge boom period, like most e-commerce businesses did, and just was super proud about how they don't plan, and they're not planners. They don't believe in planning, and they just take that intuitive way of growing a business. Nothing wrong with using some intuition and having ideas that way, but definitely also important to plan. And the irony is that this is a brand that is constantly discounting now and really putting off their stockists. So I understand how enticing it can be to use these sorts of offers. It can be a knee-jerk reaction if you really need to shift some stock fast, or you really need to bank some cashola really fast. And the easiest and fastest thing that most people or many people think about is to send out a discount. And look, it does work, but if you do it every single time, it just becomes this spiral, and it's like a race to the bottom. Often I think the constant reaching for discounts can come from a place of just not having any other idea of how else to do it, right? So what other content should you put in your emails to entice customers to buy? There are other ways that you can really prompt that immediate hit of sales without needing to use a discount every single time. Or if you are going to use a discount, sometimes make it a volume related one, like with bundles and volume in discounts, like buy 5, get your 6 one free, or, things like that. But, try and reach for alternative ways to get that excitement going and give people a reason to buy, and not reaching for those deep discounts every time, so that you don't train your audience into expecting it and only buying when you're on sale, because you're going to be more profitable when you can avoid doing that as often as possible. So, if we can avoid those sorts of pitfalls and start to build our email list the right way, you're going to put yourself in a really, really awesome position where you own your database, you own this audience and the information about this audience. You're collecting all of the metrics and the conversion data in your Klaviyo account. You own the right to communicate to that audience. You know, no Mark Zuckerberg or any other platform is going to take that away from you. And you can make some really good money as a result when you learn how to do this well. So I'm going to give you a few of my strategies that work really well for me and for our clients. I'm not going to give you every secret in our little black book, but I'm going to share some good stuff here for you and talk about a couple of different aspects to improving your email marketing.